and thigh toning workout. It's going to be a great exercise, and we're excited to show you the moves, so let's get started.
Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is David Nutting, and I am a personal trainer for Club Greenwood. And my special guest here, as she introduced herself, is Connor Christian. And what we're going to do is just go through a little follow-along workout. So we're starting with a dynamic warm-up. This is called a leg cradle. Just getting that leg to open up just a little bit with external hip rotation. We'll just go through 3 quick warm-up movements. Here, this one's called a hamstring heel drop. So just kind of pushing that hip back, pulling that heel down and with the toe pointed up. With that stretch, you're going to really feel that pull back through that hamstring. Gets a little bit of stretch through the glutes as well. The hip and thigh toning workout here today, we're going to go through 3 circuits, and each circuit is going to have 3 exercises. And so we have 3 rounds of all 3 of them with 30 seconds each. So it's a great workout, and you're going to be able to get quite a bit here with it. So here we're finishing up with the hamstring heel drop. Next one is drive the hip forward. So she's stretching her right hip, and then upper body lateral flexion. So the upper body just reaching forward towards that front leg, getting that nice good upper body to stretch, and then the back hip gets a little bit of stretching through the hip flexor. With a warm up before the workout, you never want to do a static stretch, so you don't want to just sit there stretching and just holding it. You want to actually create movements into the stretch. So after this one, we're going to jump right in. The first one, think of a sprinter lunge and then hopping. So I'm going to have her show just the example of doing a sprinter lunge. And then, so if you can't do the hop, this is what I want you to do. So this is set 1 of the full circuit. We're going to go through 3 rounds of these first 3 exercises, and here we're getting the hops. So we'll go 30 seconds here on this one. Great exercise on getting the whole leg to work. With hip and thigh toning, we can't spot reduce, but what we want to do is work the whole leg, so we're working a little bit of everything. This one, you'll feel the heart rate going really well. All right, and switch legs. Now we're going right leg, drop that leg back, up nice and strong. If you notice, she's not rounding her back. She has good form there through it, and then she's driving her arms up. So as the left leg comes up, her right arm comes up through it. Very nice, good form there on it. Stay strong, nice and strong. Good. Now next one, we'll jump down here on the side. We're going to do a side lying plank, kind of basically is what we're doing, and then it's the top leg's getting abduction. The bottom leg is supported down on the ground with that knee supported. What I would recommend where the elbow is for the right arm, for the arm she's supporting, is to tuck that elbow in how she has it. So that's where we want it. You don't want to get that elbow real far out. It's going to cause impingement and some tight areas on your shoulder. And switch. So now I'm trying 30 seconds here on this one. Lifting the hips, feeling those obliques contract, and then you'll feel that that top leg really get that contraction through the hip. Really good hip abduction. Great exercise there through the movement. Then the last one on this little sequence will be a stationary lateral lunge. So she'll be up on her feet and back up. All right, stationary lateral lunge. Now she's just pushing the hips back. If you notice, she doesn't have her toes pointed out, and she's pushing her hips back into that movement. So just going nice and strong, tall posture as she comes up, and then pushing to the side. And then once we complete this round, then we're going to go through round 2 of all 3 of these exercises. And she's almost there on this one, and back down. Okay, now we're going to go back down into the lunge, the sprinter lunge movement. Good balance there, and I just have her showing that beginning movement, so you can jump right in on those jumps. And then driving that leg up, keeping your back flat, swinging through the arms, core tight. Great exercise. Gets the whole leg. You'll feel the quads, hips, glutes, everything contracting, everything working. And switch. Good, set 2 already here on this one, so stay strong through it and try to follow along as you're going through. Up nice and strong, drive that leg up. Good plyometrics. So plyometrics, these jumping exercises, great for bone density. Good, she's almost done with this one. You can feel the burn now on it. Okay, good. Now let's do the side lying hip abduction here again for set 2. Nice and strong, nice and tall there through it. And try to relax the shoulders. You notice how you see how her shoulders are stacked, so that looks perfect. Good form, Connor. And there she's getting that nice good lift through the hip. So you're gonna feel the oblique and the hip. Great way to be able to get both working through on this one. Good, and switching there. How are you guys feeling at home? You following along, feeling that contract? That's working that outer hip, so that's abduction there on that outer hip. And just getting that contraction pull nice and tight through. Good. If you kind of think of a straight line through that the angle where her body is, it looks perfect on it. Okay, let's jump back up. Now do the lateral lunge, the stationary lateral lunge. This is going to be finishing round 2 of this circuit, and then we'll go one more round. By getting 3 rounds of each of these 3 sets, and then 3 circuits, it's really going to start adding in, because I have a lot of different movements of what you're doing, so they're all going to work together really well. Toes pointing straight forward, push the hips back, good for that inner leg. Okay, let's go back to the jumps here on this one. So you could be jumping right away on the sprinter lunge hops. Getting both hands down to the ground is what really adds to the intensity of these, so that's really going to make them a little bit more challenging there through it if you get those hands down. Extend that leg back, think of a sprinter getting into the blocks, and then you just drive that leg up. They're not easy, they really add up, especially getting 3 sets, and now you're mixing in all these other exercises. Good burn, you can see it working. Good, okay, now we're gonna go to the other leg. Find your spot. All right, and go. Nice and tall. Getting those jumps in. Swinging the legs, driving that leg up, swinging through the arms. Good form, nice, Connor. And 3 sets is tough as you get through on all these ones, so you should be feeling these really add up. And then we'll go down into the side plank leg or hip abduction here. Okay, let's try the side plank leg abduction. Nice and tall, squeeze through it. Try to really feel that contraction, even just slowing down the movement if you wanted to, and that adds some intensity. And always with exercise, you want to think of the muscle group you're contracting. So really think of firing that muscle, really contracting nice and tight through it. Feel that contraction through it. Good, yep, nice, good tall posture. She's stacking her shoulders, stacking her hips, trying to not let that top shoulder come forward, so her form is perfect on it. You try to do that at home as well. You're stacking the shoulders, stacking the hips, lifting from that bottom leg, let that leg contract. And then after this one here, we'll get one more, the stationary lateral lunge. All right, now let's pop back up, stationary lateral lunge. Set 3, last one of this circuit. And then the next 3 exercises as you're doing this one, the next 3 are gonna be a wall sit. So if you can find a wall right after this exercise, we'll be using that. We're gonna just kind of push against the legs in and out. And then we'll be doing, if you have a towel, think of just grabbing a long towel, and then one just where you're gonna go down on the floor on all fours. So down on the floor. Okay, here we have the seated position, just a wall sit around 90-degree angle. She's pushing from the outside, So pushing against the legs, trying to get that abduction, getting that extra contraction there from those outer legs. And that's hip abduction. So that one's working in there. Now we go inner legs for half the time. So now just kind of think of just adding that tension, getting those inner legs to contract. Good isometric there, really firing and contracting through. And then next we'll go with the bridge squeeze. So now if you have a long towel, something you can squeeze, even a yoga block. She's lifting up into the bridge, hands are relaxed at her side, core is tight, lifting through the glutes and then squeezing in through the towel. Don't let the towel drop. And she's getting that contraction coming through the inner leg. The inner leg is contracted and it's hardwired with the core. So now her inner abdominal muscles are firing as well, the transverse abdominal. Okay, now down to all fours, and now we're gonna do what's called the KEM. So I name different exercises after clients. It's a hip mobility exercise, but we'll call it the KEM here for today. So the KEM here, just without moving your back, you're just motioning right from the hip. Extend the leg back, gets nice good extension, and then she just rotates up and around as though swinging your leg up onto a horse is kind of basically what we're trying to do. And switch. Okay, now switching legs. Here we should go in with her right leg. And if you notice, you don't see her back moving, so that looks perfect. If you try to balance something on your lower back, the goal is to not let the back, drop to whatever you have balancing off your back, off your lower back. So you want to just stay nice and level through the hips. Core tight, and then everything's coming through the hip and the core. All right, now back to the wall sit. Set 2 at a 3. Shoulders relaxed, core tight, and then just pushing against the tension there from the outer leg. And then we're going to go into the inner leg here as well. Okay, now the inner leg here. So now squeezing through nice and tall. Squeeze, kind of push a little bit on the tension. Try to just let those muscles contract for 15 seconds to finish out this. Okay, now let's go down into the bridging. So bridging again, trying to get nice and tall through your posture. Think of if a string were pulled right from the top of your head down in through where your knees are, your body's nice and tall. And so we get a little bit of a curve as your shoulders hit through the ground. But kind of think of nice and tall, lengthen through the legs, contract through the inner legs, core tight, hips lifted to get the glutes firing. It's really going to work those inner legs. Okay, now let's go down into the KEM again. From all fours, nice good motion. Good, nice, good, slow movement. The slower you go on the KEM, on this hip mobility movement, the more you're going to feel that. One reason why is a little more time under tension, so each rep has to really focus on the movement of it. Okay, and switch. Very nice, good, nice and tall, core tight. Think of a nice tall posture there. And then just motioning from that hip. Yeah, nice and easy, nice and slow through the movement. Then we'll go back up into the wall sit here in a second. All right. Okay, guys, set 3 here on this one. So push down and back into it. And feel free to stop and be able to pause and grab a drink of water. This whole workout, I just kind of want to get it all in without having a lot of breaks in between. And the closer you can get to following through, all the way through, that's really going to work. So now let's go back into the inner leg, get that adduction, that isometric squeezing and pushing against the inner leg, inner thigh. Feel that squeeze. If you notice on the hip and thigh workout, we're mixing around how we're getting the contraction. So here we get the glutes to fire from the bridge, but I'm adding in the towel or yoga block, something where you can squeeze in to that, getting those inner legs, the inner adductors to squeeze and fire. The last one, getting the inner and the outer, and then this one after this one, the KEM, getting the outer hip. So all sorts of different angles. The more you can kind of shift around what you're doing, creating muscle confusion, it's really going to help to add to the benefit of what your workout needs to be. for overall workout program. All right, last one on this one for the Kim. So left leg here, she's working. Extend that leg back nice and slow, and then just kind of circle around without motioning from the back. Creates a good disassociation from the lower body to the upper body. And when you get that, that's really functional in how we create motion for the hip and protect the hips. We want to get mobility through the hips. Okay, switch there, last set on this one. And then the last 3 exercises after this set will be a rotational lunge, so you'll be standing up. Another one will be one where you're going to stand against the wall. It's kind of like a little hip movement. It's called the Marcia. It's a little hip abduction. And then a squat jump with a hold. So those will be the last 3 exercises here. You're almost there. Stay strong. Watch the form. Feel free to take a little breather and stretch here before the last set if you need. Okay, here's a rotation or a transverse lunge. Anytime we get rotation, if you notice that front leg stays in position. When that front leg stays in position, that's allowing the back hip to rotate, and that's what we want. We're getting that inner leg working from that upper inner hamstring and the adductor. A lot of good things working there with that one. We always want to create rotation through different workout routines. Okay, now let's go up against a wall. It's called the Marcia. It's named after one of my clients. If you know, she hikes her hip up and then hikes it down. So she's dropping the hip and then lifting through. That top, that leg that she's standing on is the leg that's on the outside. So just standing on that outside leg, kind of find a nice comfortable position right against the wall, anywhere you can find, and then just hiking that hip down and then up. What you're also going to get there, we're switching on this one, is a muscle in the back side of the core. It's called the quadratus lumborum, QL. So that one's a lateral pelvic tilting. So that one's good with lateral pelvic tilting. It helps to stabilize your back and your hips. So I threw that one in order to add a little bit of tension. Drop the hip and hike it on up. Feel that contract. Okay, now the squats. 4-second hold, and this 4-second hold creates a stretch reflex. So you start feeling it pretty quick on these ones. 30 seconds adds up pretty well. So I just am counting out loud to her 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then there she's jumping again. And then she's just holding it again. And then after this one, we'll go right back into the rotational lunge. Okay, set 2 for a rotational lunge. You guys feeling it all that up? Hip and thigh, even if you're just kind of taking notes and you're just watching, kind of grabbing some ideas. Some of these exercises are going to be a little bit more unique. So you want to follow along with the video, just making sure you're doing it correctly and kind of listen to some of my cues of what I say if you're not used to doing that exercise. Nice and tall, rotate through. So Connor was actually a news reporter, and she did that out in Oregon and then had done some of that out here in Colorado. Now she works for the fire department as a public information officer. So if you recognize her, she's usually on the scene for a lot of those big events. So we appreciate you, Connor, and every firefighter and everybody that's out there doing the work you guys are all doing. So thanks for doing the reporting on it, Connor. All right, dropping the hip and lift through. And switch legs.
Yeah,
Take that
perfect.
hip down and then
Kind of a funny
lift
exercise,
through it. Feel
I'm
that
sorry.
hip contract.
Don't be sorry.
Good hip and thigh workout here. We're already on set
my
number
dad
2
lived out
here,
in
and then we have
Medford,
one more
Ashland
exercise
for
after
about,
this
like,
one, and then one more
probably
round of all 3.
10 to 15 years, I'd
Oh,
say.
wow.
Yeah.
What brought him out there?
Yeah, up on down. And
He
then
was
lift up
getting married, and that's
through.
where she ended up having one of her daughters was up there.
That one takes a
Yeah.
little bit of getting
One
used
more.
to if you can't kind of figure it out. Just kind of keep practicing and working with it. Okay, here we're getting the 4-second stretch reflex, and then the jumps. Nice soft landing. Anytime when you're jumping, you always want to land nice and soft. It's all about the landing, so that's easier on the joints when you can get the nice soft landing. Good, there we go. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, now last one is the rotational lunge, the transverse lunge. Open up really good for opening up through the hips, gets that inner leg to be able to get the contraction. Both legs are actually getting a little bit of work, so they both work back and forth on getting a little bit different contraction. And the last set is your best set. So kind of think of last set, best set. Each time you want to really focus and cue in on what you need to be doing with the movement. Make sure it's proper. Okay, let's try the Marcia again, just that hip abduction. Now this hip abduction is really good on getting what's called the glute medius. So the leg you're standing on is the leg you're working, obviously. Well, that glute medius getting fired, that's the stabilizer to protect from knee pain. So it's a great exercise, just a good body weight exercise to protect from knee pain. Drop on down and then lift up and through. Okay, and switch legs. Good, last set here on this one. And if you notice through the video, I had her do one set of all these and then I just copied and pasted, and so you can kind of see her talking through some of the different ones if you saw a little bit on that. But Connor did a great job going through this one. She also did another workout that's a little bit harder that I'll be posting as well. So keep an eye out for that one. And if you're not a subscriber, let's do one last set on this one. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, you can just click that subscribe button down below. And then what you'll see is a little bell icon. So click the bell icon and then click all if you'd like to receive the notifications. So I provide all sorts of things to try to encourage people all through life. There, we're on our last set. You did a great job. Make sure to loosen up a little bit once you're done. I don't show you the stretch routine, but please join us later. Thanks so much for joining me.